another day potentially indoors. I did go out yesterday. I went for that. I can't remember if I mentioned in the vlog. It feels like my memory continues to get more and more of a challenge, but I think I did. So yesterday I went for the reflexology appointment, and yeah, that was something new to experience. I did find it a bit of a challenge though. I think maybe it's just part of anxiety to kind of take part in things like that, when getting like a massage or any sort of therapeutic process in person. Sometimes I can feel a bit more self-conscious, and there were some questions asked as well, like, can you feel sensations, as they were kind of, pressing on pressure points in my foot, and sometimes it was hard. It took a lot of mental energy to try and check my body and see if sensations were happening, and to kind of interact was a challenge, I think, during that time. And then I went to see some family afterwards who live close by. And the dissociation seems to be continuing. I'm not sure. It seems like there's a blend of lack of sleep and then dissociation and exhaustion, tiredness, and when you're feeling really tired, dissociation's happening. It's really hard to get the energy to try and stay grounded or to cope when I'm in that sort of state where it's like a mix of sometimes relief when those symptoms are present, and then it's also disorientating and difficult as well, because you're feeling like you're not truly here, which can be which at first can seem like a relief, but then it can be quite draining as well. So yeah, I'm not sure how much of these symptoms is because of sleep. I know my sleep has been not great the past several days or more. I'm not sure if these sort of dissociative symptoms are, again, I'm trying to get a perspective on a bird's eye view on my health and what's going on recently, but I'm not sure if it's just because my mental health is just getting more run down, and this is a reaction to that, to where it's harder to cope with stress and anxiety, and feels like it's really, really hard to try and step out of myself to see what's going on. But I can really try and go with a bit of logic that I have before dissociations come up during very stressful times and for very short periods, but suddenly now it's there a lot of the time, and it's been continuous. And I don't think, there's not been a huge stressful event that's happened. I think stuff with my mum, it's been, I think, long enough gap now that I've kind of calmed down from then. So I don't feel it's a reaction to that. So the only thing that comes to mind is just a natural perhaps response to things getting more difficult for me, or things, my resilience wearing away. I'm wondering now whether to have another cup of coffee, because I'm feeling really sort of tired, and I don't want to sleep during the day. I think with sleep hygiene, it kind of refrains from that. I managed to wake up at my alarm at 8 o'clock, and I stayed in bed till 9, and I don't think I fell asleep again. I was kind of partly trying to fall asleep, but also part of me was trying to will myself to get up, so I try and get my sleep back on track, so I feel tired enough this evening to fall asleep. And I think yesterday, after the reflexology, the kind of practitioner said that you're going to feel you may feel wiped out, and I kind of shared with them that I actually felt really wiped out before starting the session. So he said, okay, you may feel even more wiped out then. So I don't think, so yesterday I felt really, really exhausted, so that maybe that had a big effect on my energy as well as me feeling exhausted anyway. And I'm just, maybe I can make like a weak coffee perhaps, because I feel like I'm struggling to sort of keep myself awake, and I may do a little bit of sort of standing up as well. I think that will help. I don't feel like sort of going out anywhere today. That's another thing I'm noticing, where it's harder for me to get outside now, especially since I've stopped writing. That's been a huge kind of, in some ways gradual, but also steep decline of me getting outside, and finding sort of drive to do that. So I'm not sure what to do about that, really. Also, maybe it's good to note that there has been big challenges like the writing of something, that maybe it's good to have a balanced view on that, so I'm not sort of living in that space, or that story of I've had to let go of writing and allow myself to wallow in those feelings, but also acknowledge that a big part of my life is I'm not able to do that right now, so that's left a vacuum, or there's going to be a reaction to that, and a domino effect as well, because if I was writing, I would naturally get outside, be walking somewhere to a cafe or library, and it'll be built in. But now I'm not doing that. It has an understandable domino effect to, okay, I'm not getting out as much anymore. Yeah, it was one of the reasons that motivated me to get out, to write somewhere, because I always struggled writing at home. So maybe it's good to just not sort of underestimate or the effect of that. So just jumping back to the dissociation symptoms, I kind of feel like I'm being medicated a little bit. That's what it feels like. I've never been to like a mental health sort of ward, or I don't know what other labels they're called, psychiatric ward maybe. But so I can imagine, you get medication there to kind of, feels like I've had something like that, some medication to I'm not sure if I don't think I have the mental energy to try and investigate the dissociation and why it's coming up, really. But all my energy is kind of being spent on just trying coping within these sort of symptoms, really. Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's because I do feel sort of depression levels a lot higher, and I guess to be more specific, the aspect of depression where feeling low, since there's a array of symptoms that that's kicked up a notch, when that's always been generally there, but usually it's been more of the cloudy thinking and those elements of depression that's been really prevalent. But now those are still prevalent, but now the mood has also risen, the low mood. And I'm wondering if the association's a response to that, because it's quite a dark mood. Like, it's not thoughts of wanting to harm, but there's thoughts of just tired of living or not wanting to be here. So sometimes I'm not sure whether those thoughts are that big a deal, or again, it's very hard to get perspective on that, really. Maybe it's understandable as well, because certain things are peeling away from me, like the way I'm living my life now, or have to live. Maybe that's understandable. There's not like a lot sort of happening in respects to my life where I've had to almost recede from life, bit by bit. Like, there's been an obstacle and I've had to recede from that. Then another thing, I've had to constantly almost recede in some ways, whether it's like religion, which I haven't talked much about. Some point I may do. A lot of stuff's unprocessed. I've had to almost let go of sort of religion, but it's a big part of my life. And then sort of writing as well, that's kind of been becoming difficult. Just like religion, I've been forced to kind of, in some ways, it wasn't really a choice to let go of it. It just kind of, it left me almost. So there's that aspect as well. And then, of course, social aspects where I've had to recede socially, and all very sort of important building blocks of my life in that way. So maybe this is an understandable response to when certain things are not being able to happen. Talk about a healthy life, you've got like loads of big sort of parts of life, like career, relationships, and a lot of certain things I've had to recede from, or it feels that's the only way I can cope at the moment. So, and again, talk about a domino effect. It's going to have a certain reaction to that. So maybe keeping those things in mind, it's an understandable, perhaps a response to how I'm feeling. It becomes less of a complaint of this shouldn't be happening, or I shouldn't be feeling this way. It becomes more of just a natural sort of acceptance. Okay, this is what's going on with me at the moment. So I think two things I can do that I feel I'm still in this moment able to try and do, that will help myself. Number one is sleep, which has been a struggle. And it feels like I don't have the mental strength to kind of fix a routine and a stringent sort of discipline. It feels like to have discipline needs to be a foundation to kind of plant the seed of discipline for that to grow and to do, but it feels like there is no, for me at the moment, there isn't that, but I can at least, most I can do is set an intention, I think, which I know can seem a bit weak at times, and flimsy, but it's all strength I've got is just I can't afford to set a discipline and then fail that, or hold up that discipline, which takes an energy. If I create like a little routine or structure for myself, it's too heavy. So 2 areas: sleep is one, and nutrition is the other. And when it comes to nutrition, I don't mean sort of a strict diet, but just simplicity, really. And there is a challenge with that, is cooking and stuff. So that's where that can be a bit tough. Like, thankfully, I've got some like lentils for this evening to have, and then after that, I need to maybe see how many energies tomorrow. Maybe buy some ingredients to cook another meal for a few dinners tomorrow potentially. But maybe I can think about the details later. But just, I think 2 areas right now I feel like I can try and make a little bit better for myself, and I feel hopefully that I'm sure that will help a little bit with my coping and my health as well. I've got a counselling session tomorrow, so perhaps I can mention a dissociation there and see what is said about that, perhaps. And that will force me to get outside as well, because I do my counselling sessions in a park just because it's got good reception there. So I kind of like that it forces me outside. So, and then hopefully I can get some groceries while I'm outside as well, and maybe spend a bit more time outdoors depending on the weather tomorrow. So rest of today I'm just going to I'm currently watching a series called Euphoria. I think I mentioned a while back, and I've just finished recording a sort of post-season 1 reaction, which I'll upload at some point to. Still haven't uploaded a Grand Army reaction. I can try and upload that at some point to the other channel. And finally, just that's all I can do really, just to try and rest and maybe it's the low mood that's perhaps also contributing to me just wanting to watch something, and I'm aware it's probably not all healthy to just binge watch as well, so but it doesn't feel like I have much strength to try and do something small to break up. Well, maybe I forget this. I know this is something as well, not to underestimate, and recording the previous post-reaction video, that's something to acknowledge. Sometimes it doesn't hit my radar. Doing this is something. I think I mentioned hydration as one thing, and especially yesterday, I really felt like I did a good job of hydration. I think it made it easier because I was feeling really drained and tired, and physically felt my body was lacking in something, so it felt a bit easier to to have more fluids, and I'm going to try and do that this afternoon as well. And maybe I'll make a coffee. I think take the risk of hopefully not affecting my sleep as much if I don't make it as strong. Maybe. Yeah, I've got some food for tonight, which is good. Yeah, so that's kind of my afternoon and evening. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get out to upload this in the park today. Feels like more of my days are really unpredictable, but my sense is that in the moment I don't feel like I'll have the energy to go outside today. Yeah, it feels like that the motivation to upload is fading to get myself outside. I think earlier on it was a bit of a drive to upload this. It kind of got me to go outside to upload it, but that seems to be fading, where it's not enough anymore to. It may sometimes help with the motivation, but right now in this moment it's not enough to get me outside really. Maybe because of my mood and dissociation, feels like everything's fading away in the meaning of it. Like this as well doesn't feel like, part of me feels like sort of giving up on everything a little bit, recording and uploading, and I haven't managed to record a podcast episode. It's been over a week, and I know part of my mind is probably stressed or worried or reacting to not recording and worrying about algorithms and whatever platform I've built up of the podcast, that audience, and that's fading away. Or another part of mind is saying don't worry about that. So it feels weird because it's like, do I care about that or do I not care about that? It's like, it's hard to know what to trust, because if I decide to not care about that and later on I get back into regular recording with the podcast and I felt, oh God, I shouldn't have given it up. Why did I do that? And yeah, it's hard to explain, I guess. My mind is just not good right now, so it's frustrating when I'm trying to explain a point to myself. It's hard to put into words. So yeah, I'm glad I've managed to do a little bit of recording before jumping into watching some more TV. Yeah, maybe just overall it feels like things are not good. I'm seeing my doctor next week. Got like a pre-set appointment for something separate, actually, just for my scalp and psoriasis stuff. But maybe I can bring up I think they're aware that I'm suffering a lot of mental health, so I think I'll be asked about that as well. So maybe I can try and speak up a little bit about to say I'm struggling, and maybe I'll get that anxiety medication just to have with me and maybe talk to them about that also. And I think last time they made it a double appointment. I think because when I went there for my initial issue of my psoriasis, then we ended up talking about mental health as well, and I think thankfully the doctor must not have had another patient straight after, so actually made it a double appointment. So I was kind of grateful for that, because often you can feel quite rushed at the doctors, and it's always like an element of busyness and the next patient. But yeah, maybe I can share some stuff with the doctor next week potentially, or write some stuff down to share with the doctor, so I don't feel stressed or under pressure to try and have to remember and express in a clear way to them. Maybe that will be something to talk about in counselling tomorrow. yeah, so let's make some coffee, and then hopefully that will give me a bit of energy for the rest of today.